Grab your popcorn because today we will be covering a TV show about a murder and the detective who investigates what happened. In a small, quaint town, a woman screams in her house. Mare answers the call to deal with this. An old woman, Mrs. Carroll, says her granddaughter was upstairs and a peeping Tom was looking at her from outside. Mrs. Carroll says the peeping Tom had a hoodie and he looked like a ferret. Mare notices the security camera, but Mrs. Carroll says it hasn't been installed yet. She gets upset with Mr. Carroll for not having installed the camera. With no evidence, Mare is over it, so she leaves the property. Meanwhile, Erin McMenamin, a young mum, talks to her baby. Erin tells him how much she loves him. Then she tells DJ how much she'll miss him since DJ will be staying with his dad this weekend. When Mare arrives at the precinct, the secretary tells her the good news of Mare being plastered on the newspaper. Mare was an athlete in high school and they are celebrating her winning shot in a basketball game 25 years ago. During shift change, Mare tells them about the peeping Tom that Mrs. Carroll had seen that morning. Chief Carter asks to talk to Mare. He shows her how Dawn, a mom of a missing girl, went on the news to announce that the police aren't doing anything. Dawn recently had cancer and she's fighting hard to find her daughter. Chief Carter tells Mare the bad news about a new set of eyes from the county that will be coming over to help with Dawn's case. Mare believes Katie, the missing girl, is dead at the Delaware River because Katie was a druggie and a prostitute. Chief Carter is pissed and tells Mare they are starting over on the case even though it's been a year since Katie went missing. Subsequently, Dylan has finally arrived at Erin's house. Dylan rushes Erin to hurry up. His girlfriend Brianna honks the horn impatiently. Erin is pissed off that Brianna is here because she doesn't want her child near Brianna. She tells Dylan she doesn't even know what he sees in Brianna. Erin reminds Dylan to use the eardrops. Brianna interrupts her and demands Erin stop texting her man. Erin says she has to because Dylan is the father of her baby. Brianna calls her a dumb bitch and warns Erin that someday she will get what's coming to her. Erin then says Dylan needs to schedule any surgery, otherwise the baby could have hearing loss. He gets upset and says he doesn't have the money to pay for the surgery. He demands Erin to do everything through the court system if she really wants to get it done. Later, Mare answers a call at Beth's residence for a burglary. She notices the suspect on the road. It's Beth's brother, Freddie Hanlon. She handcuffs him. Then Beth comes up to her own brother and punches him. Beth says she is sick and tired of her drug addict brother, but she won't press charges. Mare is a very kind detective as she helps solve the problem. She gets Freddie to the hospital for his cut hand, helps him get his heat back on in his house, and gets him to a shelter. At Erin's house, her drunk dad, Kenny McMenamin, comes home super miserable at Erin. Erin sends a mysterious guy named Brendan a text asking when they should meet up. She asks her dad if she can borrow his truck tonight. However, he gives her an attitude and says no. He ends up burning his tongue when eating and blames Erin. He approaches her and asks Erin about the baby's surgery. Erin lies and says Dylan says he will pay for it. Kenny complains about all of the stuff he pays for already. A text from Brendan says they can meet up at 10 tonight. When Mare arrives home, she's greeted by her grandson Andrew. Her mother Helen and her cousin Dan break the bad news to Mare about her ex-husband Frank getting engaged to Faye. Frank drops by and realizes Mare is a little bitter about his new engagement. For the most part, they are cordial and the divorce was amicable. Mare mentions how she hates that Frank just had to move next door to her. Later that night, Mare's daughter Siobhan talk about her college applications. Siobhan makes snarky side comments about how her dad is doing really well with Faye now. Meanwhile, Erin bikes to meet up with her friend Jess. She's grinning from ear to ear. Jess mentions how hot Brendan is. Brendan had texted Erin, "I want you to dance again." Erin says this meant a lot to her because it's the one thing her and her dead mom used to do together. Jess is shocked to find out that Erin is going to meet Brendan in the woods. Jess says Brianna is going to be there and warns her about not going. Erin is really happy about going on a date though. Jess decides to fetch her mom to help with Erin's makeup. At Frank's house, they are celebrating his engagement with Faye. The group asks them to kiss, then they play a song. Mare can hear the music across the way, and she feels a bit alone. So she goes to her friend Laurie's house. Mare finds Laurie's son Ryan doing homework on a Friday night. She talks to Moira, Ryan's sister, hoping she's not getting bullied at school. Then, John and Laurie enter the room and they wonder how Mare is doing with the engagement announcement. Laurie and Mare then talk about Dawn and her missing daughter. Mare says they are never going to find Dawn's daughter. The two then go to the high school to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the school's state championship. While waiting in line to be introduced, Mare tells Dawn that she's doing her best to find Dawn's daughter. Dawn says it's not even about Mare. Mare is pissed because she scraped the town for Katie, but wasn't able to find the missing girl. Then, Mare goes to the bar to celebrate. She gets hit on by Richard, a famous author who just moved to town. The two flirt. Meanwhile, Erin bikes to the woods all dolled up. There's a bunch of other teenagers there for a party. Erin even sees old friends she hasn't seen in ages since she was pregnant and doing mom things. Brendan texts her to meet by the bridge. When Erin gets there, she realizes Brianna was catfishing her the entire time. Brianna teases her about wanting to dance again. Dylan was in on the prank as well. There's a group of people bullying Erin, while Brianna demands Erin to stop texting Dylan. Brianna starts beating Erin up. A few of her friends kick her as well. Luckily, Siobhan is there and tells them to stop. Siobhan asks Erin if she wants a ride home, but Erin doesn't say anything as she walks away. Back at the bar, Richard compliments Mare on her beauty. Then, Mare sees that her ex-husband Frank has arrived at the bar now, so Mare asks to go to Richard's place. The two get it on. Afterwards, Mare tells Richard that her life is too complicated to get into something serious. However, Richard is persistent and Mare finds him charming. While driving home, Mare finds the hooded peeping Tom that Mrs. Carroll had mentioned. She calls for help to look for the man since she's off duty. Then, she stares at Katie's missing poster signs. She decides to staple new signs to the post. At home, Mare tucks her grandson in. Andrew mentions his dad Kevin. Kevin was Mare's son who had died not too long ago. The next morning, Dylan cares for his child. While Brianna is pissed at the crying baby, Dawn prints out new posters for her missing daughter. The camera pans to a dead Erin who was shot in the head, her clothes completely gone. Mare wakes up and thinks she sees her son Kevin, but he's not there. Then a call comes in about the dead body. Mare drives to the scene of the crime. Chief Carter tells Mare that the body is Erin, Kenny Minamine's daughter. Mare goes to inspect the body. She deduces that the killer had shot her point blank. Carter tells Mare that a man named Colin Sable from the county will be assisting her. Colin is known for having solved a cold case before. Then, Mare commands the other officers to search the perimeter to look for anything out of place. Mare then calls her friend Laurie to tell her about Erin. She asks Laurie to get Billy and John to go with Mare to tell Kenny about Erin, since Billy and John are Kenny's cousins. Laurie goes to John to tell him the bad news about Erin. He's confused. Once John and Billy arrive, Mare gives her condolences. Kenny lets the three of them in. He's confused about what's happening. Mare gives him the bad news and he's devastated. He hits furniture and yells at John to stay away from him. Kenny promises he's going to kill whoever killed his daughter. Kenny thinks the only person who could have done this is Dylan, his father. Dylan never wanted Erin to keep the baby. Kenny is crying while he tells her everything, but no tears come out. Mare wonders if he's been there all night, and Kenny is shocked that Mare would even suspect him. Meanwhile, Andrew's mother wants to see her son. She's a recovering drug addict. She wants full custody of Andrew. Siobhan and Helen tell her that Mare will fight her for custody. Then, Mare questions Dylan to go over his whereabouts. Dylan lies and says he didn't talk to Erin in the woods. Dylan says he didn't kill Erin. Later, Mare and Chief Carter make a public announcement about Erin's death. Dawn gets the crowd riled up about two missing girls now, including her daughter. The crowd is glad another investigator will be joining in on this because they think Mare is incompetent. In her office, she meets Jeffrey Dahmer. Just kidding. This is Detective Colin Sable who will be helping Mare with the investigation. At night, Deacon Mark provides a sermon to help the mourning community. Dan questions Mark about Erin being part of their youth program. Mark seems suspicious as he tries to say he didn't know Erin that well. Then, Mare gets knowledge of a video footage from the night Erin had died. It's video footage of Brianna beating up Erin. Mare notices her daughter had helped out Erin that night. Sable and Mare head to Brianna's parents' restaurants. Mare decides to publicly arrest Brianna. Brianna's parents are pissed at Mare, especially Brianna's dad. At the precinct, Brianna refuses to talk without a lawyer present. Mare is persistent and pushes Brianna's buttons. Brianna then says no wonder Mare's son ended up killing himself. This hurts Mare to the core and Sable can see this. After work, Mare goes over to Frank's house to talk to him about Erin. Frank says Erin was a quiet girl in his algebra class. He always had a feeling that things weren't good at home. In the late hours of the night, Mare studies the case of Erin. She then goes to question her daughter about Erin. Siobhan felt bad for not pushing Erin more to get a ride home with her. The next morning, Mare goes to speak to a specialist about Drew's eye-twitching condition that he may have inherited from his dad. She recalls how difficult it was to figure out Kevin when he was growing up. Kevin was diagnosed with mood disorders, then eventually killed himself. On the verge of tears, Drew's therapist says Mare should see a therapist to talk about this. At the precinct, Sable wants to start over with Mare so that they can figure out who killed Erin and if it's possibly connected to Dawn's daughter. They both question a bunch of different teens. Mare and Sable find out that Erin's phone was pinged 13 miles from where her body was found. People didn't see Erin's bike after 12 a.m. at the woods either. Back at home, Mare gets harassed by Brianna's parents for arresting her in public. Late at night, Dylan decides to go to the gas station to grab cigarettes. When he goes back in his car, Kenny is in the back with a gun. Dylan says he swears he didn't kill Erin. Kenny doesn't want to hear any of this and makes Dylan drive away. Meanwhile, Mare pulls into the same gas station. At the store, Tony is there following Mare. Mare is just there to grab a sandwich and fill her gas. But Tony is threatening Mare. Dawn decides to defend Mare. She even blocks the door so that he doesn't follow Mare home. At Jess' house, she's crying over her dead best friend. She admits to her mom that Erin told her a secret that she promised never to tell anyone. At Mare's house, Tony throws the jug of milk through her window. Then she finds out that Andrew's mom is filing for custody. Then, the Rileys go to Laurie's house. Ryan answers the door. However, Jess wants to talk to Laurie in private. Jess tells Laurie that Dylan isn't the real father. She thinks it's Frank Sheehan, Mare's ex-husband. In the wilderness, Kenny and Dylan have finally arrived. Kenny forces Dylan to get out of the car. Kenny demands him to start walking. While Dylan begs for his life, he starts to run and Kenny shoots him twice in the back. Who do you think the real killer is? Let us know in the comments if you'd like to see more parts to this series.
Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like. It really helps the channel.